everybody. I'm Louise, and I'm here in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene area of North Idaho to be exact, where we're opening up, I think, next week. So I've still been at home enjoying some beautiful weather and some spring veggies and some sexy dressings. So today, what I wanted to go over with you is all about spring. And thankfully, it's spring in the air. There's a spring in your step, and we're all ready to get out of the house, I am sure. So having said that, I want to tell you a few things about the importance of dressings. I feel that the right kind of oils are one of the most important nutrients known to man. As many of you know, I wrote about oils way back in 1988. I wrote a book called Beyond Pritikin. It was the height of the no to low fat, high complex carbohydrate diet, and I talked about the importance of the right kind of fats. Well, I've maintained that theme through 35 of my books. And right now I'm going to show you the best oils to use for salad dressings. The first one is olive oil. Let me reach into my olive oil. This olive oil is one of the tastiest that we have found, and I think if you use this as a basis for your salad dressings, you can't go wrong. This oil, the olive oil, is very good for your heart. So for those of you that have heart issues, think olive oil. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of lime, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, maybe a shot of turmeric is all you need to make a delicious dressing. And what I like to do is to have my team post about 5 delicious, sexy, slimming salad dressings right now so everybody can see the kind of recipes that are delicious to use at home. Now, olive oil for the heart and for the brain. But if you're interested in losing weight, then we have to go to a different kind of oil. And that kind of oil, as I reach through this beautiful presentation, may be an omega-6 oil like safflower oil, hemp seed oil, as well as pine nut oil, which is my favorite. This is extra virgin pine nut oil. So for the sexy, slimming skin that you would like that is tight even when you lose weight, think of omega-6. And you can use the same basic dressing as you do with the olive, but you would alternate with the pine nut or the hemp seed or the safflower oil, high in omega-6, which is good for the skin. So for sexy skin that is tight when you're losing weight, which is going to be happening when we're all exercising and we're all out in the air again and we're all living life the way we should be, would be the omega-6s. Last but not least, if there's issues with your joints or with your brain, then we want to look at the omega-3s, and this is where flax oil comes into play. Flax oil is a very important oil. It should be used in moderation. When you open the oil, put it back in the refrigerator. This is good for hormones. This is good for the omega-3 content. This is good if you have joint issues, if you've been a football hero and you've got a lot of sports injuries or any other kind of injuries. This will help you within 2 weeks. 2 tablespoons a day will make aches and pains go away. So I say a tablespoon per 100 pounds of body weight, very important for the omega-3s. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to talk about sexy slimming dressings, and you're going to see one in particular, which is the honey mustard, is because I had the privilege of writing a little blurb for my good friend Cal Orey that wrote a book called The Healing Powers of Honey. And she reminded me of how antibiotic rich and natural honey is. And this time of year, it's good as a natural antihistamine. So we have a special dressing that's made with honey. It's a mustard honey mustard dressing, I think is what we call it. And the reason I like that is that if you use a little bit of honey 2 or 3 times a day with a little bit of vinegar that you get in the mustard, then you're stunting the amount of carbohydrate that you're absorbing from the honey, and it'll give you a little antibiotic boost, which is so important in this day and time, and it will also be good as a natural antihistamine. So that's the reason that you're seeing so many of the ingredients. We have the mustard, we have the honey, which of course is local honey. Just get your local honey for its antihistamine value, or you can use Manuka if you'd like. Now, for those of you that don't want to use oils, you can use tahina, which is over somewhere. Thank you, Matt. Matt, say hello to everybody again.
Hello. Hello.
Matt's on the other side, keeping socially distant from me at about 6 to 9 feet. He's on the other side of the camera. This is my Artisana Organics Raw Tahini Sesame Seed Butter. We make this with a marvelous miso tahini dressing, which has a lot of umami taste, a lot of savory taste, and we're going to give you that dressing in the comments. So this is a marvelous oil, and I use this particularly because it's like a nut butter. It's very high in a vitamin that nobody talks about. And it's not vitamin A, and it's not vitamin B, or C, or D, or E, or F, or vitamin G, the grounding vitamin. It's vitamin T. Years ago, we used to recognize sesame seeds as being a high source of vitamin T, which is very important for elevating blood platelet values. So vitamin T is very high in sesame seeds. It's one of the reasons that those countries that ate a lot of sesame seeds were very virile, strong fighters, especially people coming from the Turkish Empire. So, love that raw tahini with our miso tahini dressing. You can also use a little yogurt. We've got a yogurt dressing, as well as any of these things together, not just on salads, but on vegetables. So if you're bored with your veggies, don't use your salad dressing on your salads. Use it on your veggies. The veggies we have here are spring vegetables. Matt, what is this?
Onion.
I think this is a green onion. This I believe is a scallion, as a matter of fact. This is a scallion. I love scallions because, unlike onions, most people are not allergic to them. If you've got issues with your gallbladder, most of you should stay away from onions. So these are delicious scallions. Now I'm holding up something, and Matt's going to identify this for my people here. What is this, Mr. Matt?
Asparagus.
Asparagus, because it's spring. It's the season of asparagus. Now, asparagus is important because it acts as a natural diuretic. It's very good for people that have high uric acid values, and it's very cleansing to the kidneys as well as to the liver. So asparagus is in season, lightly steamed is the way to go. And we also have some delicious
radishes.
Radishes. And the reason we love radishes, Matt, is because radish is a high source of sulfur. And this is the season when it's important to use lots of sulfur-rich veggies to clean out your liver. Because it is liver season, it's according to traditional Chinese medicine, spring is the time that your liver needs a little scrubbing out. Having a lot of food that is rich in sulfur, like your radishes, your daikon radish, your red radish, any other kind of radish that's out there is very important, whether you put it in your salads or put it in a steamed veggie potpourri. Now my other favorite is none other than, let's see what this is, it's a little wilted. I believe this is fennel. Let me see. This is fennel, a little wilted. I kept this out because we were going live a little sooner than I thought, but this is fennel, which is so important as a cleanser and anti-flatulent remedy. We also have our lemon because this is lemon loving season. If you get organic lemons, you can make your lemon and water in the morning and put a little bit of the lemon peel in there, very high in D-limonene. And we've just found out that D-limonene has marvelous antiseptic values, so important right now. And it's also connected in some way to lemongrass. There's a new research paper that talks about the importance of lemongrass as having major anti-cancer values. So if you love Thai food, if you love Indian food, get these some lemongrass. It's one of the best spring cleansers we know of, and it's very anti-cancer, exceedingly high, and who knew this, in antioxidants. So my point in telling you all this about sexy slimming dressings, and you'll see all those dressings there that we're happy to give you, and if you need more dressings, I have like 35 books. You might want to pick up the Fat Flush Plan or the Fat Flush Recipe book. We have a cookbook. We have the Radical Metabolism book and another special recipe book that the girls will also put a link for. But all those dressings and oils can be drizzled on your veggies. They can be drizzled on steamed veggies or braised veggies or sauteed veggies and a little bit of bone broth. You can add a little bit of oil, which you don't even cook, onto them as a little drizzle, so it'll give it a little oomph. And when you're adding even more lemongrass or turmeric or even some cumin, you've got a real antioxidant power blast. You've got like a double, triple whammy. So I'm going to start taking your questions now because many of you tune in for the questions. So I have a little housekeeping to do now that we've completed our little spiel about how healthy dressings can be to get your skin looking good, to get your brain in shape, to get your joints tuned up, to get your heart beating the way it should. And that's where your omega-9 from your olive oil comes into play. Your omega-6 for sexy skin is where the hemp, that's where the safflower seed oil, that's where also a little bit of your sesame comes into play. Sesame is an omega-6. Even walnut oil is high in omega-6. And then omega-3, the flaxseed oil, which is a natural hormone balancer. But I do have a little housekeeping to tell you about. and this is from one of my staff members, and that is that next Friday, which is May 15th, we're going to do a Facebook Live with an entire hour of your questions. Any question you want. There's nothing off the table. If you go to questions.annlouise.com, I'd like Tracy St. Peter, our little angel, to post that now. Questions.annlouise.com or little Rhonda Burns. You can fill out the form as many times as you'd like, and we'll answer your question. So remember, that's questions.annlouise.com. Fill out the form, and I hope to answer your questions next Friday. But right now, we have questions from you that have come into our websites, that have come into my Facebook page, that have come into my private email. And here they are. Here are the questions. Question number 1 is, what's the best way to detox the liver? From Trish. What's the best way to detox the liver? If you can give me 2 weeks, I'll clean out your liver. And I did it before 20 years ago with a book called The Fat Flush Plan, which became, much to my surprise and much to my pride, one of the best-selling diet books of the 21st century. There is a program called the 2-Week Fat Flush. It is designed to clean out your liver. It is a low-fat diet, so we're giving your liver a break from most kinds of fats except for the essential fatty acids from your GLA and your flaxseed oil. And if you get that book and just turn to the first or second, or it might even be the 3rd chapter these days, where you can take a look at the 2-Week Fat Flush Plan. We'll clean out your lymph, we'll clean out your liver, we'll do it in 2 weeks. You'll lose weight, feel great, feel stronger and fit, and more so than you've ever had before. So that's the best way to detox the liver. It's a 2-week program which targets the liver, targets the lymph, and targets the GI tract. There's no other program that targets the lymph and the liver the way the Fat Flush Plan does and has done for over 20 years. Okay, next question. Would detoxing the liver stop hot flashes? Many times it does. And a little added iodine also stops hot flashes better than anything I've seen. So if you're not taking a little iodoral or Lugo solution, please do so to help your hot flashes. Would you recommend doing, and if so, if detoxing the liver stops hot flashes, which it does, and if so, would you recommend doing that in addition to your Fat Flush soup diet, which is what somebody took for her hot flashes to go away? So the Fat Flush soup diet is just one of the variations on my Fat Flush diet plan. It's a standalone soup diet, but my real focus for you, because this is very similar to the first question, is that you do the 2-week Fat Flush, which has the cran water and special herbs that we use to actually detox the liver and the lymph in terms of cleansing the system for overall health and well-being. So we're back to 2-week Fat Flush, my friends, and now's the perfect time. If you have a fatty liver, what foods should you avoid? Anything that's really sweet if you have a fatty liver. You don't want a lot of high fructose corn syrup, which you all know, but even you need to some degree, because there can be a crossover with fructose sensitivity, you don't want to be eating a lot of fruit either. And right now, and I was going to show you an apple, which Matt is going to hand to me. Most fruits are frankenfruits. That was an apple. That's an apple. It's a green apple. Most fruits are frankenfruits, meaning that years ago they may have had 15 to 20 grams of fructose. Actually less, because they were very small. They're very tart. When I was growing up many, many years ago, I remember my grandmother having a bushel of apples out on her porch. And those apples, I mean, I used to go through them and try to get a sweet one because they were so tart. Now you just bite into an apple and it's actually a little too sweet. It's because it's been bioengineered, and it has a lot of natural fructose. So you want to stay away from apples and even pears to that extent, because they're higher in fructose, especially if you have a fatty liver situation going on. To cleanse the fatty liver, you want to be taking choline. Choline, as I've talked to you before in many of the podcasts and many of my Facebook Lives, is the degreaser of the liver. Choline at 500 milligrams 3 times a day will get rid of a fatty liver in 6 weeks. My husband, this is what Kelly has to say. My husband has a non-alcoholic fatty liver issue. What's the easiest way to help a stubborn husband using diet or supplements? Get him some Bile Builder. Bile Builder at unikeyhealth.com will help to cleanse his fatty liver. We have gotten a tremendous amount of before and after stories of people with high liver enzymes, people that don't have a gallbladder, people with fatty liver that have done near miracles just using this supplement, which has 6 super nutritional elements in there, one of which is the choline and the bile salts, which can be very helpful for people with all kinds of liver conditions, especially non-alcoholic fatty liver. The question comes in from Liz. Do you still recommend dry brushing for the lymph? Yes, if you can dry brush before you go into the shower, even at 2 to 3 minutes, you've helped your lymph move tremendously, because the lymph has no way of moving. It doesn't have a pump, so you've got to move it through movement or through breathing or through massage. Another question, is it possible to drink too much dandelion root tea? Yes, it is. It's very diuretic, so you don't want to overdo the potassium, particularly if you've got some potassium issues going on or you've got some issues going on with your heart. 2 cups a day is all it takes. Another question from Lisa. She's got diabetes. Would dandelion root tea help her blood sugar? Yes, it would. It's very high in potassium, which is a blood sugar regulator, surprisingly enough. I've also heard that I should avoid drinking it. At 2 cups a day, Lisa, you're perfectly fine. It's what you overdo that's not healthy, including foods, I should say, like coconut oil, and almond flour that you're all using instead of gluten these days, because those are very high in oxalate. So we're seeing a lot of sensitivities because we're overdoing too much of a good thing. Moderation in all things. What is the best exercise for the lymph? The best exercise for the lymph is walking or bouncing on a trampoline, even 5 to 10 minutes. What are your favorite detox techniques to use in the spring? My favorite detox techniques to use in the spring include dry brushing, include the 2-week Fat Flush plan, and a series of colon hydrotherapy treatments. I love it when people just clean out their gut, because in that tube you will see if you're digesting your food, if you've got too much mucus, if you've got fungus or parasites or worms. And the only way that you can tell is by looking. So seeing is believing. I'm a big believer in detoxification. This is the time of the year to do a coffee enema or a series of colon hydrotherapy treatments once some of these places open up again. And if it weren't for colon hydrotherapy, I probably wouldn't be here. I studied abroad in the early 70s, came back with a nice, I think it was amoeba actually, which I came back with, maybe in some roundworm. And thankfully I got rid of it using a series of colon hydrotherapy treatments, a little bit of coffee enemas, and seeing a parasitologist in New York, may he rest in peace, that told me that whatever I picked up would be very hard to get rid of if he hadn't found it in his particular tissue swab analysis. So God bless you, Dr. Herman, wherever you are. What is your favorite spring meal with detox foods? My favorite spring meal is what I've laid out for you here. Your little scallions over here, because these are high in sulfur, a little bit of radish that you put onto a lovely spring salad, and then of course some asparagus that you steam. And I'm a big believer in mushrooms because I love the meaty, filling flavor. So I also steam up some mushrooms, very high in vitamin D, which can be deficient in this day and time, as well you know. So those are my favorite detox meals. And maybe a little bit of artichoke. If I had real artichokes here, I would share them with you. I don't. We use canned artichokes. I don't think I put them on the table, but artichokes would be your #1 detox food, which is very, very good for the liver. So bring on those artichokes. It's also contained in a product called Liver Lovin', which has a little bit of taurine, which is a wonderful amino acid to help detox heavy metals, and some chlorophyll. How do you know if you need to detox your liver? So question is, it's liver time. How do you know if you need to detox your liver? You look in the mirror and you look at your skin, because your skin is a second liver. I want you to now talk about that all over the internet, because people don't really understand. Your skin is not just your skin. It's the second liver and your third kidney. So everything that goes through those organs that are detox organs that can't be removed any other way are going to be bubbling up through your pores. It's an organ of elimination. And if you look at your skin and you see marks, lots of red marks, or if you see little dots and you see little rashes and you see little indentations and you see little creases, then something is going on with your liver. It's time to do my 2-week fat flush and use a product like Liver Lovin' or Bile Builder to really clean out that liver and also help your gallbladder. So Debbie Clem, who's one of our dear followers, says this is an area I need help in. Dressing makes the salad. I agree. Dressing makes the salad. My family likes creamy ranch. So what you do with creamy ranch is that you make a combination of a yogurt dressing and maybe a little bit of healthy mayo that you can get, whether it's Follow Your Heart mayonnaise, or there's a Hain version with safflower oil that I personally like with the omega-6s, and some of our girls that are working the boards for me now will give you a copy of one of those dressings. They'll post it online. I need to make veggies taste better, says Patricia. I'm ready for this. So you make your veggies taste better by steaming them, number one, because steaming them really, it retains more vitamins and minerals, number one. You can get your vegetables al dente, with just a little crisp, not too overdone. And you can use any of these dressings, including a little miso tahina, which is just totally delicious. And you can put that on your veggies, or maybe a yogurt type dressing, or a little bit of olive oil. I mean, olive oil goes with everything, from dressings to veggies. I put it on my skin topically. Karen says, for me, she's been tossing a tablespoon of hemp seed oil, a dash of bitters, because she's on my Bitter is Better program from Radical Metabolism, and apple cider vinegar, or some organic pomegranate vinegar. Lovely. I love the flavors, but need a mix to save time. I don't know if I can give you a mix that has a little pomegranate. I think, Karen, you are doing terrifically well. My other questions are, let me see, there's another one from her. Hubby has been using my homemade ranch over our nightly spring mix for 20 years. Is there anything that we can do with a homemade ranch dressing? I think that you can experiment with using a little coconut vinegar, or even better, a little bit of that cashew yogurt is what I mean to say. A little cashew yogurt. You can mix it with a little buttermilk powder that we can give you a name brand for if you can tolerate that, and then I think you're home free. So there's an awful lot you can do with sexy slimming salad dressings, but use them and don't heat them as much as possible, which means that you drizzle on your salad, or you drizzle on your steamed veggies, or you put it on your soup. That's the best way to use all of these dressings, to retain their essential fatty acids, to retain and make sure that you're not exposing yourself to too many advanced glycation end products that come in the roasting, that come in the broiling, that come in the marination process. So are there any questions, Mr. Matt, that I need to answer at this point in time for a very, very patient audience? And you are patient, and you're loving, and you're kind.
Well, Chris wants to know.
Chris.
Avocado oil, is it good for cooking?
That's a good question. Who is this, Chris?
Chris? Yeah. I don't know who
Our
Chris is. No, it was a different Chris.
It's a different Chris. Chris, whoever you are, thank you. It's a good question. Olive oil, theoretically, has one of the highest smoke points. So yes, you can use it for basting, and you can use it for cooking. And you can use it as a salad dressing. It's not my favorite for various and sundry reasons. I like to use oils that I think have been in my ancestral history, that are part of my DNA, and avocados have not. But for those of you that love the avocado, go for it. It's a very healthy source of glutathione, so important to protect against virus in this day and age. So yes, it's a good oil.
And then Mark wanted to know, can you explain the importance of vitamins D and C during these times?
Okay, so Mark is asking a terrific question, the importance of vitamin D. Vitamin D is the immune-enhancing vitamin, and many of us, even if we think we're out in the sun, are drastically low in vitamin D. So because vitamin D is so important for the lungs, so important for the alveoli, so important for the entire immune system, you need to make sure you're getting a source of vitamin D that is taken with an oil product. It means if you're not taking a gel, an oil, what do they call that? A gel cap. The brand that I personally like is the Carlson's brand. It's a company that I represented years ago, and I think they were very, very ethical, very moral, have a lot of moral integrity. So that would be the one I would suggest to you. And if you're taking one that is in a capsule form or a tablet, just take it with some oil so it's better absorbed. It's an oil-soluble vitamin. So vitamin D, most definitely. Vitamin C, very important for your collagen, very important for your immunity. And I think at this point in time, if you really want to up your game a little bit, up to 10 grams, and I've mentioned this before, would be helpful. I'm hopeful that Unikey now has in stock their Vitality C, because I get my 10 grams in by using 2.5 scoops of the Vitality C, which is absorbed very nicely into the body. It's kind of a powder. It's a buffered powder, so it doesn't upset the tummy, doesn't make you run to the bathroom, and it's very well tolerated. So those are two very, very good questions, and I'm so glad we're seeing so many men online. Mr. Matt?
I'm not sure what her name was, but where do you think the best store to go buy vitamins in person might be?
The best store is whatever is nearest you. I would go to a mom and pop health food store. Let's support our mom and pop independent health food stores. So wherever that might be in your area is where you should go. And if you need help in finding it, just let us know.
And that's it. That's it for the questions.
Okay, good questions. I want to thank everybody so much for joining me. Next week, it's all questions on the table, no holds barred. We're supposed to get you to questions.annlouise.com. They just basically handed this to me. We'll see you next time. Have a beautiful week.